One of the very first YouTube videos that I made was actually talking about Game Pass for PC. I had finally tried it out, and it was awesome. There was so much great about it. I made a really positive review of it, and I stand by a lot of what I said in that video. And by the way, that was one of my first YouTube videos, and I had like 20 subscribers at the time. That's now, I think, actually still my most viewed video, still gets a few hundred views a day, and is doing great. And again, I still stand by a lot of what I said in that video. However, Microsoft, you have such a good service with Game Pass, and Game Pass PC, and the Ultimate version where you bundle it with the console stuff, and cloud streaming. This offers so much. It's so good, except for your actual PC software. Microsoft, fix this thing. It's very clear that you care a lot about Game Pass and supporting it on PC and making it be like everything's an Xbox, right? Your phone, your actual Xbox console, your PC, they're all Xbox. They can all do Game Pass. We want those subscriptions. I get it. You care. You do. So why does your app still suck? A lot of times, people struggle to even download and install games. If you want to actually update a game, maybe the update's available, but the app doesn't even realize it, and you have to go into the actual Microsoft Store and like search for your game to trigger the update. And don't say I'm making this up. I experienced that a ton with The Ascent when that came out. I love that game, by the way. Really underrated despite its buggy mess, and the buggy mess was much worse on the Game Pass PC version compared to Steam, because processing the updates for the games seems to take a lot longer to get them onto the Game Pass PC platform than it did onto Steam. And not only that, but when you have the game on there, a lot of games on PC, one of the advantages is the modding scene and the customizability. And while there are some mods available and some things that do work on the Game Pass PC platform, they don't all work. And those install folders for the games are incredibly locked down. And that brings me to what really triggered me to make this video, which is I recently upgraded to a whole new system, reinstalled Windows, all of that, but then I ported over my old solid-state drive from my old build that had my game library on it. And you know what? I went into Steam, I pointed it to the correct folder, and there's all my games. I even went into the EA desktop app, pointed at the right folder, there's all my games. I went to Ubisoft, and I pointed it to the right folder, and there's all my games. I went to, GOG Galaxy, pointed it to the right folder, there's all my games. Sometimes they had to do a little bit of an update, but I didn't have to reinstall games that are, these days, can be like 100 gigabytes or more. But you know what happened when I tried to do that on the on the Xbox app for PC? The games weren't there. They were still taking up space on my drive, but the games weren't there. And I couldn't even tell it to like uninstall them. It was difficult. And I went back to my old PC and I tried to see if I could open up these folders. And to my knowledge, there's absolutely no simple way to just point it to those games and have my new system recognize it. And I understand that this isn't like a super common thing that happens all the time, that people are just doing all the time, but honestly, it's not that uncommon to move a hard drive to a new system and want your game library to be there. And thank God I don't have a data cap on my internet connection downloads, but some people do. So if you have hundreds of gigabytes, and the whole point of something like Game Pass for PC is that you can have a massive game library installed at all times because you're subscribing to have access to this huge library. But if I can't actually access that on my new system, that's really annoying, and I don't want to download all of them again. And the point is, I eventually gave up. I had to go back to my old system. I couldn't get it to open up. I ended up deleting them all over there, bringing it back to my new system, and just having to re-download the ones that I actually wanted. Anyway, there's so many other issues with this app as well. Just, I don't need to get into all of it. I'm just saying, Microsoft, you have a killer subscription service that's really held down by the software and the game install folders. Get that in line with what other people are able to do. And I really think that this could give stores like, by the way, I mentioned Epic could do that as well, just fine, with the point it to the new install locations. But you can compete with Steam and Epic and all of them. You've got the funding, you've got the games, you've got the service, just make your software not suck.